Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, help us out. Click subscribe, show your support, whether you're on Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, YouTube, whatever it is. Give us that subscribe. It helps us to get some exposure and bring you more episodes of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. While you're at it, if you are sick and tired of dropping $60 to $100 for the latest, greatest wrestling video game every single year, stop immediately and go to Wrestler Unstoppable, available exclusively through Facebook. Create your wrestlers, sign contracts, get involved in storylines, headline pay-per-views, even build your own corporation from the ground up, all included in Wrestler Unstoppable, available now to all Facebook users, absolutely free. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family and you want your name in the shoutouts like our buddy Harold in St. Louis, how you doing, Harold? Love to hear from you. Great stuff all this week. Check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast and sign up today. I see our buddy John, the sports guy in Hatfield, is here as well. Welcome to the show, John. Always great to see you there. For the month of January, any of our $25 contributors are going to get the opportunity to host an episode with me going live on a Saturday night episode. And our $10 a month subscribers, they're going to get the opportunity to be entered into a drawing to also co-host an episode of Going Live. Welcome to this live episode of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. Raw just went off the air, and what a great show. A lot of craziness going on right ahead of the Royal Rumble. We'll get into a little bit of that. For those who have been waiting, I've been getting tons of messages. The new tournament is live. It is posted. It is on FroWrestling.com, the homepage of the Pro Wrestling Podcast. Go there, click on fan vote, and you will get an opportunity to enter into our newest tournament voting, which is based around the Monday Night Wars. So we have all the premium talents from the Monday Night Wars. Now, I will be honest with you. I literally went through every contracted talent in WCW and WWE between the years of 1995 and 2001, and I tried to put as many of them in there as I could. And what ended up happening is I had about 144. I narrowed it down to 128 based on a few people that really just wouldn't matter. So there's 128 people in the tournament. There are 8 voting blocks. They are all live right now. If you go to Pro Wrestling, you can start voting on those instantaneously. Our Patreon members got that opportunity a couple days ago. That is one of the benefits of becoming a Patreon member. You get early access to some of the Pro Wrestling Podcast opportunities. In addition, I am thrilled to announce that I am in the process of putting together some brand new interviews for the 2018 year. We're hoping to get some people on to the Pro Wrestling Podcast that you guys are really looking forward to hear from, I'm sure. So I won't give names right now because the last time I did that, it ended up falling through. I don't want to not deliver on something I say I'm going to do. I'm very thankful. Big shout out to Donovan Dijak, who referred me to somebody who is going to do an interview with us. And there's several other people that I'm talking to. So hopefully we can get you guys some new interview opportunities. Should be a lot of fun. While we're going through the show, if you go to Spreaker's website, you can actually chat with me live, just like my buddy John, the sports guy out in Hatfield. You could go into there. I could see your comments immediately show up on my screen. If you have questions, comments, concerns, anything of that nature that you want to address during the show or for a future episode, you can call the Pro Wrestling Sound Off line at 267-642-1160. Give us your questions, your comments, anything you want us to talk about, and I'll try to get your information there into episodes as well. And as I said, if you've never been to the Pro Wrestling Podcast before, if you've never tuned into an episode, always go to ProWrestling.com where you can preview all the topics coming to our next podcast episode. It's a great way for you to come up with questions, comments, something you want us to talk about. Give me a heads up about it, and I can get that included in the show with your name if you so choose. Right now, surprisingly, a lot of the questions and comments I get are from people who want to remain anonymous. I always find that to be interesting. But if you want your name out there when it comes to a comment or question or something of that nature, by all means, put it out there. I'll be more than happy to get you guys get your information in there. We're going to start. We have a couple headlines that we're going to talk about, and then a lot of tidbits. So New Japan Pro Wrestling, there was an interview last week with their chief operating officer who said that he wants to work with World Wrestling Entertainment. He wants to show them that they're not the enemy. And quite frankly, with the quality of wrestling coming out of Wrestle Kingdom and the whole New Japan Pro Wrestling product for the last couple years has been such a great show that I feel like WWE is really missing an opportunity here. You know, you go back to the 80s when you had the NWA and the AWA and sometimes the AWA and WCCW. Different companies would get together and put on these super shows. And I'm not talking about just the big WrestleManias or the Starcades. You know, I'm talking about, you know, big matches where you would see in one show, you'd see the AWA's finest, the Road Warriors, taking on the Freebirds when the Freebirds came out with the Stars and Bars face paint. And on the same show, you get to see Ric Flair take on Magnum TA. Two different brands at the same show. Super shows. And WWE could easily promote one of these with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And the fact that New Japan loves what came out of the Chris Jericho Kenny Omega match, and since they want to foster more of a relationship, I hope WWE sees how much they can capitalize on this. And here's why I say that. And this may seem a little strange at first, but follow me on this. I've seen repeatedly in the news, all the different sheets, about how Kazuchika Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Tetsuya Naito, those guys do not want to leave New Japan Pro Wrestling because they don't want to leave the flagship brand that has pretty much made their careers. And I can respect that. I really can. But here's what I wonder sometimes. How much people in the wrestling industry talk about the other promotions and what kind of influence and impression it leaves on a talent. So the reason I'm saying this is if you're Kazuchika Okada, it's really easy to say, I'm the face of this franchise, I'm not going anywhere. But if WWE and New Japan Pro Wrestling were to negotiate a super show, and you don't have to have cross-promotional matches, you can have New Japan guys wrestle other New Japan guys and WWE guys wrestle WWE guys, but if you did that, and it was produced in conjunction between New Japan and WWE, some of those New Japan guys might realize that WWE is not the enemy either. WWE might realize that some of the talents in New Japan are bigger stars than they've ever given credit for. And at some point, maybe you could get some kind of working relationship between what I consider to be the two premier companies in the world. This is something that hasn't been done in so long. You know, so this is something that would be fantastic for the fans, and I hope coming on the heels of the comments by New Japan Pro Wrestling wanting to work with WWE, I hope something at some point can be worked out. Want to touch on the Raw 25th Anniversary Special. There's been all kinds of talk and conjecture about the various people who are going to be there. I'm thoroughly going to be interested to see if The Rock shows up. Mick Foley's talked about possibly showing up. Those two have not been officially announced. And then just a litany of other people. Eric Bischoff's going to be there, which is fascinating to me. And you got the Ric Flairs and the Shawn Michaels and the Undertaker and Kevin Nash and all these other talents. I'm very fascinated that the Dudley Boys will be there since Bubba Ray's been in Ring of Honor as of late. Just all kinds of great talent going to appear on that show. And I hope that WWE doesn't screw this up by pushing, you got to push today's product, but you can't forego the opportunity for an emotional moment for your fans. Give them something special. Now, I just want to put the kibosh on something. I did hear that there was a rumor that there was going to be a 5-hour Raw that night. That is not the case. It's still going to be 3 hours. 3 hours is plenty of time to do the 25th anniversary show. Hopefully, they do what they need to do to not only deliver modern-day great in-ring action, but to really pay homage to all those talents who came before, who have made Monday Night Raw the success that it has been for the last 25 years. And let's face it, whether you love or hate the WWE product right now, they really are the biggest show in the world. They put out, I don't want to say the best product, because I'm not going to say they put out the best in-ring action, but they do have the best collection of stars. That cannot be disputed. I defy anyone to tell me that's not the case, because no matter what company you compare them to, if you look within the last 5 years, all the premium stars of any company have come there. Yeah, of course, you could say stuff like EC3 and Bobby Lashley are not there. Well, yet. Kazuchika Okada and Tanahashi, they're not there. I get that. Not as mainstream. Kenny Omega, yeah, yet. Young Bucks, yet. But at some point, you can't tell me that they may not follow the same path that people like Bobby Roode, Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, all these other guys have. And they did that for a reason, because WWE is the stage to perform your craft. And that's something that they really need to focus on. Returning to SmackDown, we're looking at Caitlyn, former Divas champion, possibly returning to SmackDown has been buzzing for a couple weeks, but it turns out Serena Deeb is the one who actually has signed a contract with WWE. So for those who don't remember, Caitlyn kind of left abruptly, went off, had some kids. Now she's getting back into ring shape. Big rumors that she may be returning for the Women's Royal Rumble. Serena Deeb, same thing. She was in a Straight Edge Society, a member of CM Punk's group. Hopefully both of them return, as well as many others. If anybody didn't notice tonight, Tori Wilson will be at the 25th anniversary Raw special. You can't convince me there's not a good chance she shows up at that Women's Royal Rumble. I've had people all week putting out questions about, hey, there's only about 18 girls that they could put into this thing. What are they going to do for those other 12 spots? Well, it looks like they're going out of their way to really bring back some awesome talents. I did see that supposedly Molly Holly, Ivory, just a whole litany of former talents have been approached. Trish Stratus, Lita have all been approached about possibly doing this. No names confirmed. That's the scary part. But there's definitely a ton that they're thinking about. So it ought to be interesting to see that Royal Rumble and see who they bring in. Want to throw out just one, I hate saying a somber note or a sad thing, but for those who are spiritual in any way, by all means, send some heartfelt love and prayers to the man who formerly performed the character Tugboat or Typhoon in World Wrestling Entertainment. He is in bad shape, apparently in the hospital, not doing so well. So Tugboat, our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. Please get better soon. You've meant a whole lot. At least when I was a kid, early 90s, I remember thinking about how great this guy was. I met him at the Marriott Hotel in Philadelphia back in 1993-ish, I want to say. And he was just such a warm, welcoming, embracing guy. And so, well wishes out to Tugboat this week. News today was out. There was a executive for Impact Wrestling stating that the Impact Wrestling Grand Championship, so those who haven't watched or read the spoilers or any of that stuff, Impact Wrestling has been taping episodes all week. The Impact Wrestling Grand Championship is going to change hands. Somebody else is going to get it. It's going to be given to somebody else. Then the very next episode, they're going to contradict their own storyline and give it back to whoever had it. And then it's going to get lost again. And then it's going to get dissolved. So the Impact Wrestling Grand Championship is going away. The executive called it the worst championship decision in the history of the company. I couldn't agree more. You keep mixed martial arts where it belongs, keep wrestling where it belongs. The Impact Grand Championship, absolutely ridiculous. It's almost as bad as that former Impact Wrestling television title that became like the Legends title and became like 14 other titles before they finally retired that one. Horrible idea. I don't know any company that can mess up creating championships any worse than Impact Wrestling has over the last 10 years or so. Enzo Amore was in the news this week talking about how he wants Neville to return to the company. They were riding buddies on the road. He didn't have a lot of friends. Neville didn't talk to a ton of people, but he talked to Enzo. And Enzo really misses this guy being a part of the WWE family and really wants him to make a return to the ring. Hopefully that gets done. Unfortunately, the word is that conversation with Neville has completely broken down. That is not even a point of discussion at this point, and they're going to make him, ride out the rest of his contract without letting him wrestle anywhere. Hopefully that's not the case. I'm really hoping Neville finds a way to get back to the company, and if not, gets a full release so he can move on with his life and still bring great matches to the independent wrestling fans, if not the WWE fans. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. A lot of questions last Monday night about Kurt Angle's phone call and who he could be talking to. All week long, people have been throwing out theories. No, it is not about Ronda Rousey. A lot of people have been, he was talking to Ronda Rousey. His statement in the phone call was, I know you haven't been in the ring in years. Ronda Rousey has never been in a wrestling ring, and she was in the mixed martial arts ring 1 year ago, so that's not years. This is clearly somebody who's been gone for a significant amount of time. Now, it could be something as simple as Serena Deeb or Caitlyn or Molly Holly, but I think that would be almost disingenuous to the angle that they're clearly playing up with him making that phone call. I think what they need to do is have a big name, a Michelle McCool, a Lita, a Trish Stratus, somebody of that level come in and be a part of the show. A Layla would even make me happy because I think she's somebody who is completely underappreciated. So curious to see who the phone call was to, but that definitely verifies somebody from the past will absolutely be in that Women's Royal Rumble. Maybe it's Tori Wilson. We'll have to see. Samoa Joe injury update. So Samoa Joe, another issue. He's getting ready to get a push again, and he gets hurt again. Here's the problem. On the independent scene or in Impact Wrestling, when Joey get hurt, it's not a big deal because they're never going to stop backing you. But WWE is not that guy. WWE, if you keep becoming an injury risk, you get buried. Look at Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler won the World Championship on 2 occasions. I know people forget there were 2. There was actually 2 occasions. One was BS with Vicky Guerrero back when Edge was champion. But, they all remember the one where he cashed in Money in the Bank. But once he had concussion issues, he's never been able to be a main eventer again. And that's a problem. And if this keeps happening to Samoa Joe, they're going to take the same approach with him as well. And that concerns me because Samoa Joe deserves to be at the top of the card. He deserves to have at least one World Championship run. He's kind of on the same par for me as Bray Wyatt. I thought Bray Wyatt got shafted in his one run, but at least he got one. And Joe keeps getting hurt. This injury is going to leave him out 6 to 8 weeks. It's a fracture in the foot. This is not a good thing. This is like a Joel Embiid injury here. Hopefully he gets back quickly. He had surgery on the issue. Hopefully they take care of things. But, man, I'm starting to get worried that WWE is not going to back Samoa Joe the way they need to. The Impact Wrestling tapings that we spoke about earlier, some big news coming out of those tapings, is that 2 talents have already pretty much said goodbye to the Impact Wrestling family. So, EC3 will lose the Grand Championship. And at the taping, he has taken a bow. The locker room came out to say goodbye to him. He said goodbye to the fans. Clearly, EC3 finished up with the company. His contract is up in April. He's getting an early release. And then the very next set of tapings, the next night, Bobby Lashley finishes up, says goodbye to the crowd, does the bowing and all that stuff. So clearly those 2 are leaving Impact Wrestling unless something crazy can last minute be done contractually. But it looks to me like Lashley and EC3 are going to be leaving the company, and there is a huge open door for both of them to come to WWE. What I find fascinating is as they are leaving, new talents have been appearing. Brian Cage showed up at the tapings. Tommy Dreamer was there. Scott Steiner made a return. Tyrus came back and he even created a whole new faction, including, Falaba and some other huge heavyset dude. So a lot of craziness coming out of those tapings. Title changes, the big return at the Impact tapings. Austin Aries returns to the company and wins the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship. He's also the one who's going to take the Grand Championship and unify the 2. So Austin Aries is the man right now in Impact Wrestling. I find it fascinating. I can't wait to see it on TV when he comes out as Impact Champion the next set of tapings after he wins the title, and he's wearing the Defiant Championship and the IPW UK title and the Impact title. He's got 5 belts with him because he's just been touring the world winning championships, and I actually like that. It makes Impact Wrestling look more open to the reality of the world of wrestling, not just this closed off, thing that WWE does from the rest of the wrestling world. Nia Jax was talking about her hopes and dreams for the 25th anniversary show, and she threw one out there that I had to address. She wants to wrestle Bull Nakano at the 25th anniversary show. What a fantastic idea. Bull Nakano, a absolute badass female wrestler from back in the 90s, feuded with Alundra Blaze over the women's championship. She had that giant spiked blue Marge Simpson-like straight mohawk looking thing. And it was just awesome. And I would love to see her get in there and mix it up with Nia Jax. She actually left the wrestling world and became a professional female golfer. But she's been doing some indie shows recently where she's met up with Alundra Blaze and they've, kind of rekindled and had some fun on the indies. It'd be nice to see her in a WWE ring one more time. One of the other big surprises they're talking about potentially taking place at that Raw 25th is Hulk Hogan making his long desired and anticipated return to WWE. Now, WWE is indicating that they have had no talks with Hulk Hogan whatsoever. And we all know that doesn't mean a damn thing. Hulk Hogan may be negotiating to be there at the 25th anniversary show. I'm not going to say it's guaranteed. That's not my place to say. But I definitely think the fact that we're talking about it means it is definitely not out of the realm of possibility. So, the last 3 items for tonight's show, the 3 big headlines for the show. 1, big update on Ricochet. Ricochet was wrestling for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla this past weekend, and he too, much like EC3 and Bobby Lashley, did a full farewell to the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla crowd. And one of the other talents actually told him, I'll be watching you on 205 Live. Hopefully they don't put him on 205 Live. I'm hoping they put him on the main roster, but I fear that because of his body size, they'll do that to him. Horrible idea. But if anything's going to get 205 Live over, it's going to be the influx of incredible talent that you just can't screw up. You can't screw up Ricochet unless you tell him not to do any of his high impact moves which WWE has done to talents before. For anybody who remembers Teddy Hart when he was debuting in Florida Championship Wrestling with D.H. Smith and all that, it went awry because they wouldn't let him do his high spots. And he was like, screw you, I'm doing them anyways. And he would do all these high spots, and then WWE didn't like his attitude, and they let him go. I'm hoping that same thing doesn't happen to Ricochet. The guy is talented. He's very safe in the ring. I don't know if I've never heard a report of him hurting anyone in the ring, and for some reason, WWE has a knack for like holding people back in that regard. So hopefully they know how to use him properly. Second big tidbit for this week, Paige. It's been all over the internet. Her in-ring WWE career is more than likely over. She was at a house show, took a stiff kick to the back from Sasha Banks, and now they are saying that WWE will at no point clear her for an in-ring return. Paige, almost in a contradiction of that story, put on Twitter that sometimes the recovery is harder than the injury or something of that nature, indicating that she's working towards a comeback. WWE has been so stern about these, do not book this list of wrestlers thing in the past. And, I know they made an exception for Kurt Angle because they kind of needed him. But otherwise, I don't see a lot of that happening. Obviously, we haven't seen Daniel Bryan come back. I'm hoping that gets done by Mania. And there's other people like Rob Van Dam who aren't allowed to come back. Rumor has it that Rey Mysterio may be on that list as well now. But hopefully that she finds... Look, if it's a danger to her health, stay out of the ring. She could contribute in so many ways outside the ring. I know she's 25 years old. I know she's young. I know she's got talent. And I know lots of people would love to see her have a championship run. Especially with the newly designed belts that didn't come out until after she got injured. I would too. But her safety has to come first. If it is indeed the end of her in-ring career, it's a sad, sad ending to a fantastic career. A very different and revolutionary female. Before they started calling it a revolution, Paige was the revolution. Paige and AJ Lee. And now we have them both are gone forever. It's kind of a shame. And the big news today was WWE confirming Goldberg as the main event, the headliner for the 2018 WWE Hall of Fame induction. Congratulations to Bill Goldberg. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I am hoping that just because he's being entered into the Hall of Fame, that doesn't mean that they've shut the door on him doing an in-ring performance again in the future. I think he just has so much to offer. And he even sounded almost eager and anticipating something at one point earlier last year, or late last year, when they were interviewing him, asking him if he'd be willing to make a comeback. He was like, yeah, absolutely, yeah. If the storyline's right, if everything works out, then he'd be open to that. And I really hope that happens. I didn't think that we got enough of him in his last run. I really did. I understand why they did it. They did it because they didn't think he could run a long match. But I think his match at WrestleMania with Brock, despite still being a relatively short match, did prove that Goldberg could actually go for a little while if need be in the ring. So I would love to see him get one more match. He's going to get that chant, the one more match chant. Goldberg and The Undertaker, or Goldberg and Roman Reigns, or Goldberg and John Cena, or Goldberg and anybody for that matter. I really couldn't care less. Just give him a shot at somebody. Goldberg, Braun Strowman. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine that? But we'll have to wait and see. I did have some questions about the Worldwide Wrestling Alliance shows that take place the second and fourth Saturday of every month. I was at the show this past weekend. I apologize. I could not get an episode up. There was some conflict with the technology. I apologize. Hopefully the next show is the 27th. I will hopefully be at that show as well, and I can get you guys an episode recorded at the wrestling event. They have had a lot of changeover recently. New world champion and a guy named Jack Molson. New tag team champions, the Atkins brothers. If you can find the Atkins brothers on the internet, they are a fantastic tag team. Really high impact, high energy. They put up their championship win on their YouTube channels. I apologize, I don't remember the name of the channel off the top of my head, but look for the Atkins brothers. Hopefully you can find them. And it's just great action. So, and if you're not in my area and you can't get to a Worldwide Wrestling Alliance show, get to a local wrestling show in your area. They're all over the place. All right, look for somewhere to get just an alternative, a different viewpoint on professional wrestling. Last thing I'm going to wrap up with tonight, the betting odds for the Royal Rumble. The Women's Rumble, the favorite still is Asuka, which is fascinating to me, and Ronda Rousey is the second favorite. Obviously, Paige, who was the third favorite, is no longer. Becky Lynch is now the third favorite to win with 7-1 odds. And on the surprise entrance to the Rumble, Dolph Ziggler still leading the way. Kane, Chris Jericho, but on the winner of the Royal Rumble, that has shifted. It was Roman Reigns, it was John Cena, now it is Shinsuke Nakamura, which is what we have been predicting for a very long time. So it'll be curious to see who walks out winner of that Rumble. And now, I'll be honest with you, if I had to make my predictions, which I won't until next Saturday night's live episode, I would be hard-pressed to figure out who's going to win these things myself. I'm actually going to stick with the Nakamura thing. I'll leave that there. I predicted Nakamura 2 months ago. I'm going to stick with Nakamura. But the women's, I think my opinion is starting to shift just a little bit, and I think it's going to be somebody else winning that match. We'll have to wait and see. I'll talk about that on our Saturday night Going Live episode. Hopefully we get there on time this week. It's been a hectic change of pace and stuff with all the craziness going on, but I will try to bring that to you guys as soon as I possibly can. That is all the time we have for this episode. Make sure you check back with us next episode. We'll run down all the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks, as always, go out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com for producing all the music and sound effects used in the show. Today's podcast is sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this new game from Beazle Games by going to frowrestling.com and clicking the icon in the middle of the screen to pick up your copy today. And to alleyrepair.com. Contact Alley Repair today for servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade game needs. If you're looking for your next career move and you're considering college, university life, or you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our website at www.frolifeplanning.com for all your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today, and if you're looking for more wrestling news and rumors, please don't forget to go to www.sportsjunkies101.com for the latest articles on the world of professional wrestling. Or if you want to check out the articles that I've been writing on Infro's Corner, you can locate those on frowrestling.com as well. Check those out. Give me some feedback. Let me know how you like the editorial stuff. At the end of the day, I'm here to entertain you guys and bring you guys as much energy and excitement as I possibly can. So until next episode, everybody, I hope everybody enjoys SmackDown tomorrow night. Raw was crazy tonight. Fired Braun, rehired Braun. Out of the main event, it's the Rumble. Back into the main event at the Rumble. Crazy nonsense. I hate predictable storylines. Kind of like what's going on with the Tag Team Championship there. Like seeing the Bar get beat up by Gallows and Anderson. But we'll see you guys in our next episode. I'm going to shut up for now. Have a great night.
Bye.